Welcome back to Horns Eye Studios for another episode of 666 Seconds of Murder. That means each one of these videos is less than 666 seconds or 11 minutes and 6 seconds. So no time to waste. Let's get right to it. But before we do, please do not forget to hit that like button. Drop a comment below so that this video gets out there to more people just like you. And if you're not a subscriber, please consider doing that before you leave today. I appreciate it. It helps the channel grow. Now, it's important to remember this video is for informational purposes only. These are just my opinions and speculation. I'm not an expert, but I'm using good common sense to analyze this case. I'm not saying anyone is guilty of anything, and everything I say is alleged. Now, for this episode, I'd like to discuss the Idaho 4 case and that 8-hour time delay in calling 911. To be honest, in my opinion, it was more like 9 hours, but that's not for this episode. I know we've talked about this a lot in my videos and with you in the comments, and so many of you have been interested in that delay. Most of us can probably say that when we first heard about the Idaho 4, whether it was right after it happened or much later on, the 8-hour delay in calling 911 is probably the first thing of many weird things that would come up as you learn more and more about the case. Even those news reporters there at those early press conferences were completely baffled by all of that. Now, when I was doing my live on Sunday, a thought randomly popped in my head about the case and Dylan Mortensen. I put it on simmer and thought I'd get to it eventually, but I was getting ready to prep for today, and I decided to do it with this video. So here's some of my thoughts about it. Now, I know most of us don't put a whole lot of stock in that PCA, the probable cause affidavit. I mean, hell, now Bill Thompson himself says he doesn't think much of it and says it's irrelevant at this point. I mean, seriously, unless I'm mistaken, it was the PCA that got Bryan Kohberger arrested. And how you could say that's irrelevant is beyond me. And I'm sure Ann Taylor is going to mark that thing up in red pen like some school teacher grading a failing paper. All right. But for this video, let's just go with the PCA. Suspend what you think about it. It's unlikely that there's not some truth in it, right? It's very likely, I should say, that there's probably some things that are true in there, maybe some that are not. And I'm talking about, what Dylan Mortensen claimed she heard in those early morning hours. Specifically, "I'm here to help." And that always stood out to me as very strange. It sounds like something a police officer would say, and I've seen a ton of comments from you guys saying the same thing. So was it a cop? Now, another thing to keep in mind with the PCA is that it was written by two cops, Blaker and Payne. So it's not a stretch to think that the people writing it would have used their own voice. That's a writing term. As an author, one of the things that it's hard to avoid is making every narrator of a story sound like yourself. It's very easy to do. It's natural to do. So changing your character voice to fit the character is a skill that takes some time. And I know that cops aren't writers, but I'm just saying, I think they use their natural voice when writing those phrases in the PCA like frozen shock phase, clad in black, and "I'm here to help." That's just my opinion. I sure as hell don't believe Dylan would have phrased things that way. To us, they seem fake for that reason. And like I said, they may be fake. I really don't know. But it also could have fit the writer's voice, and in this case, those two cops, Blaker and Payne. So let's say she did actually hear somebody say, "I'm here to help." Most of us thought that was, said to maybe from somebody coming there to help one of the victims. Maybe the female that Dylan heard crying, right? She said that as well. Maybe it was Xana. We don't know. Well, if the person saying I'm here to help wasn't there for the victims, then who else would they be there for? Could it be the attackers? Like the cavalry has arrived, reinforcements are here. I mean, I guess anything is possible, right? Now, to me, there are a few options with that scenario. It could have been a person showing up to help the attackers finish up the job, or possibly part of the cleanup crew to take, over from that point. I mean, it could have been organized with one group coming in to do the deeds and another to come in and clean it up or change things around to confuse the police. This is done on professional hit jobs where someone comes in and makes it look like nothing ever happened here and gets rid of every shred of evidence out of that crime scene so that the person or persons that did it were never, ever there. A person like that would have probably also been very adept at planting a knife sheath with some skin cells on it. I mean, 8 hours is a really long time. Now, let's go back to the woman crying. We assume she means Xana, but it could have been any one of the girls. I mean, it could have been Ethan for that matter. If he was, crying out, it may have been difficult to discern male or female. What if it was one of the attackers? Remember those 4chan posts mentioned a female was part of the group that did the crimes. There appears to be one female running across the band field with the others at 3:12 a.m. in the police body cam video. Was she injured in the scuffle? Could she have been overwhelmed by what had just happened? I mean, it's hard to say, but reinforcements coming to help could have come there because she was injured or because maybe she was, inconsolable by what had just happened. Again, who knows, right? I have my doubts if Dylan or Bethany were even in the house at the time these crimes happened. I've talked about that before. I think it's very possible that they left before it started, but I do think that it's very possible that one or both of them were providing inside information to someone on the outside, and then once everything was in place, they left the house unlocked, and whoever came in did it from there. And then those two returned the next morning, and who knows what happened, maybe coming up with stories. Again, that's all my speculation, but I definitely think there's something to those two being in that house or not being in that house, however you want to look at it. Another possible scenario for the delay could have been, did she know that law enforcement was involved in the actual crimes and that calling 911 wasn't going to do any good? It's very possible, right? Or she was told by whoever did this that she needed to give them a good 8-hour jump on the police so they could get out of town and far away. I guess that's also possible. Could she have been so messed up on alcohol and other substances from the night before that she did actually pass out for hours? I guess that's possible too, but again, I find that extremely, extremely unlikely. Now, we know that the PCA mentioned that they came up with the timeline based on evidence gathered from analyzing the phones of Dylan and Bethany. We also heard the rumors that the grand jury leaked that they were texting back and forth during the whole thing. I mean, those texts could have been part of the plan to make this look like it happened between 4 and 4:20, just like the DoorDash order that I think was one of the attackers using her phone. And I think that it, could have been Dylan or Bethany for all we know doing that. We have no idea. I will not be doing a live this Sunday due to some family plans for Memorial Day weekend, but I'll be back again on Sunday, June 2nd, 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Central. I'll be talking Idaho 4 with you guys and taking your questions and just having a good time. We enjoy doing those, and you don't want to miss that one. But comment below. Let me know what your thoughts are here. I always love to hear from you guys. Thanks to my friends at the Horns High Club. You guys are amazing. I really appreciate your support very much. And I appreciate all of you guys that watch these videos. You guys are great. And we'll see you next time for another episode of 666 Seconds of Murder.